Cafe Football Studios, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, live for you here where sports meets life. And so happy to be here with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So welcome into the broadcast. Very happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're listening on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt as well as on the wakeupcalldt.com homepage. And you are watching on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt as well as on facebook.com/livenowdt. And so very happy to be here with you where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of these beautiful and wonderful Cafe Football studios. Yesterday we were at Cafe Football. Every single month we go to Cafe Football live on site on location. So we visit our wonderful studio partner all throughout central and upstate New York, and it's always a great time when we have the opportunity to do that, and definitely appreciate it every single time we get the opportunity to go there. So we were on site at the Sweetheart Corner location. We were there this past Saturday for their grand opening, and we were back there yesterday with Bob Beretta. And so Mary Grimes, the new Lemoyne women's basketball head coach and new director of athletics at Lemoyne, Bob Beretta, both joined me at Cafe Football's new location on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse, New York at Sweetheart Corner. So very happy to have done that on Saturday to start off the weekend, and super excited that we got to do that yesterday as well. So you can see a little bit dressed up here this morning here inside of the broadcast, and I wear different things on the show, and I like to wear my t-shirts, and a lot of my t-shirts have different messages or favorite characters or connect me a lot of times to something very meaningful to me. So I've had the opportunity to wear a lot of different things on the show, but today I'm dressed up, and I'm dressed up today because I call him my Uncle Bill, and he's my cousin, but I call him my Uncle Bill because he was older than me, like my parents' age, and so he's my mom's first cousin. And my Uncle Bill, who has suffered for years with cancer and just stress and a bunch of things, he took his last breath this morning at 5:30 a.m. And so I'm here this morning to send my love and to I'm happy he can go home now. I'm happy he could be at peace now. I'm happy he could be at rest now because he suffered enough. So, it's a day where I'm sad because I haven't gotten to see him in a long time. And that's hurt. And that's hurt when he was healthy, and it hurt especially when he wasn't. So he passed away this morning at 5:30 a.m., my Uncle Bill. And I love him so much, and I'll never forget I have memories of him, but I have a lasting memory of him. And that lasting memory of my Uncle Bill has to do with what I love. And it has to do with the world of sports, which I've always loved, and it has to do with, sports cards, which I've loved to create, or which I've loved to collect, I should say. And so I want to share that with you, and I know that I may have brought these out before, but my Uncle Bill is a card collector. He was a sports memorabilia collector, and the last time I saw him, I was 14 years old, and I'm getting chills right now, and he handed me a few things. And he said, "I want you to take these." And I said, "Well, Uncle Bill, these are yours." And he said, "No, I want you to have them." And I said, "Well, why would you want me to have them? Like they belong to you?" He walked out to the car, to our rental car. My dad was driving, my mom was sitting in the passenger seat, and I was in the back seat. And he asked to roll the window down right before we pulled away. And right before we pulled away, he handed me a manila envelope. And in that manila envelope were a bunch of things. And so these cards were within it. I didn't even realize here there's a bunch of... So these were within it. You can see them there. So a lot of they're reflective, obviously, here. So little hologram stuff, but they're all Babe Ruth. George Herman Babe Ruth. And then there's one of Lou Gehrig. And then there's one of, I think it's Babe and Roger Maris. And these cards were inside of this envelope that was inside of the manila envelope. And also inside of that was another card of the Babe. And a collection here. I believe it's the same card, but it's multiple copies of the card all on one big piece here. And he gave these to me, and he said, "I want you to have them." And I said, again, they're yours. And he said, "I want you to have them. I want you to take care of them for me." And he handed me this. It's a gold collection Babe Ruth. And then he gave me the mint collection as well of all of these. And so this action-packed collection, which I actually collected action-packed cards growing up because I love them because they're bumpy. It has Rod Carew, Ty Cobb, Tris Speaker, as well as Honus Wagner, Eddie Collins, and Roberto Clemente. So this mint collection, love smelling this stuff. This mint collection had the gold piece, and then he gave me a gold separate of Babe Ruth, and he said, "I want you to have these." And I really didn't understand why he was giving them to me because, he had like a closet full of collector's items. Shaquille O'Neal sneakers, his actual sneakers signed. He had boxes of cards from like the 50s and 60s or 70s that he never opened. And so they were worth more because you didn't know what was in them, but what could be in them. That's the funny thing about it. Like, you open a pack, you get something awesome, and it's like, okay, this might be worth $10, and then down the road it's worth $1,000. But if you didn't open a box and it could have had a card in it that was worth, $10,000, now the box is worth a ton of money, and you could open the box and there could be nothing in it. But because of the chance that there's something in it, so you open a pack of cards and you're hoping that there's something in it that's of value. Then, if you have a box or a pack or whatever that you haven't opened that could have something in it, then that value goes up. So it's just kind of ironic and crazy that you got a pack of cards, you could open it up and there's nothing in there that's worth more than a couple cents, a couple bucks, but then you have certain years and certain companies and certain cards that if you kept that box and you didn't open it, it may be worth 25 cents, it may be worth 10 grand. And so he had all kinds of stuff, and he handed me this manila envelope that had all that stuff in it I just showed you. And he said to me, "I want you to take care of this for me." And I didn't understand why would I be taking care of it? I'm like, I'm a kid. And then he had something else behind him. And he took it out from behind his back and he handed it to me. Almost like he was thinking about it, and almost like he didn't want to part ways with it. And I don't know why he'd want to part ways with this either. And he looked at it, he took it out, he looked at it in his hand, and he gave it to me. And this has been in my studio since I moved into this studio. And it's been in my other studios as well. It's an autograph card. Now, this company, so these cards were done by Topps, I believe. Is this Topps? No, this is Pacific. So Pacific did these. Pacific also used to have NFL cards. And so I have a bunch of I actually love this series of the Pacific ones. So this is a Nolan Ryan card, signed by Nolan Ryan on the card. I think this was before they could even do the signing on the stickers and putting the sticker on the card. So this is his actual signature on the card, Nolan Ryan, pitching here for Texas, and he put it in this beautiful suspended glass case. Or I should say hard plastic case. And so he put it in the suspended case, and this has been sitting in my studio forever. And so he took that stuff out, he handed it to me, said, I want you to take care of it. And then it was like, and he had, it was one more thing, and he took this out from behind him and he handed it to me. And I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand why he gave me all of these things, because they were so meaningful to him and valuable. But he handed them to me, and that was the last time I ever saw my Uncle Bill. I was 14. I'm 35 now. So, due to circumstances and different things over the years, it wasn't an option to see my Uncle Bill. And that was sad. And today at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time, he passed away. Fighting cancer and fighting a lot of stuff. And I'm happy that he's home, and I'm happy that he's safe, and I'm happy that he's well. And you never, ever know the last moment you're going to see somebody. You don't know. I did not know that was the last moment I was going to see him. But I remember being totally stunned and shocked and surprised that he handed all this stuff to me, especially the Nolan Ryan. And I remember as he just handed it through the back window, and he looked at me, and he didn't say much. And I said, why are you giving this to me? He said, just take care of it for me. I said, but am I going to see you again? He just told me to take care of it for him. And that was 21 years ago, and it was the last time. And I remember looking out the back window, because I looked out my window, and as we drove by, something inside of me just told me, look at him again. Just look at him again. And I looked out the back window, and I just kept staring at him. And it's the last time I ever saw him, and I have not seen him in over 2 decades. So on the day that he passed away, I want you to know, Uncle Bill, that I have them. They're here. I am taking care of them for you. I always will. I don't care how much they're worth. They're never leaving me. Unless I give them to somebody else to take care of someday. I love you and I miss you. And I've missed you for 21 years. And I just hope that you're safe and sound wherever you are. I know you're in heaven, and I know you're safe and sound. Let me rephrase. I just hope you know that I love you. I hope you know that I miss you. And I hope that you know that I will never, ever forget that day when you asked me to take care of these things, and I didn't know why. And something inside of me told me, look at him, just watch him as you leave. Almost like I knew it was the last time I was going to see you. And you entrusted me. You entrusted me with something that you care about. So I'll always take care of it. And I'm sorry for all the pain you went through. And I pray to God that that is gone. That love is here. That love is real. That love grows. And that you will be so wonderful. Wonderfully happy as an angel up there in heaven. And I love you, Uncle Bill, and I'll miss you. But now we get to talk. So I look forward to it. And I love you so very much. We'll take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And we'll be back right after this with the story of Bill Blankenship.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvalite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvalite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Of course, you are watching and listening as well on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Plenty of places to watch and listen Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time inside of the Cafe Cabal studios, and I am very honored. This is a voice from the past to the present. It's been a minute since I've had this gentleman on the show, and I'm more than happy to have him back here with us, and that is Bill Blankenship. Bill Blankenship has been a coach in the world of football for a long time, and we got to meet way back, and really in my coverage of the American Athletic Conference when it was coming into existence, and he was coaching over at Tulsa. So with that being said, we have a lot of story to talk about. We're talking about a decade from 2011 to 2021, so let's bring him in. Bill, how are we doing today?
I'm good, Dan. It's good to talk to you again, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back with you again, and I appreciate the fact that when I reached out to you, you even remembered the name. So it means a lot to me that you were like, hey, man, how you doing? It's been a while. So, I got to say that's your memory is sharp, Bill, and not only that, but I definitely appreciate the fact that you didn't forget me. So much appreciation for that.
Hey, no problem, man. I tell you, over the years, been blessed to enjoy this journey, and part of the very best part is just developing some relationships. And I think from back in 2011 or whenever it was that you and I first hooked up on this broadcast, that I probably put you on my Twitter or some feed where I kept up with you. So I will see your post now and then.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I can't tell you how much it means to me to have that, because you always try to build relationships, or at least I do, and always building bridges, and to be able to connect with you almost a decade ago and to connect with you today means a lot to me. So, Bill Blankenship, when we first spoke, you were at Tulsa, so let's go back there. Your days with the Golden Hurricane. What did you take away from your time in Tulsa, and what can you say, kind of hindsight 2020?
Well, let me give you a little backstory to get to that, and I'll try not to go too long. But I was a Tulsa grad, got to play football there in the 70s, and was a great experience for me. Played for I was recruited by F.A. Dry as a head coach, who I think was a legend in and of himself. And then John Cooper, my last 3 years, had some tremendous coaches. So that kind of helped to guide me into the coaching world. I was a high school coach for 23 years. And in 2000 and I guess it was 2007, Todd Graham got the job at Tulsa. Hired me to first be his receivers coach. Later on, got running backs and special teams. But spent 4 years with Todd on his staff at Tulsa. And to be at my alma mater was a lot of fun. And I had been at Union High School a long time, and so it just really was moving across town as far as employment. And then when he moved on to the University of Pittsburgh, I was very blessed to kind of be the long shot guy that got the job at Tulsa as head coach and was able to stay for 4 years. Had 2 really good years, not 2 not so good years in terms of wins, but we kind of built the program we thought, and the administration decided to part ways, and so they fired me in 2014. I spent 2015 at the University of Memphis with a former player of mine, Justin Fuente, who was still there. Then he went to Virginia Tech. I went home, was still been able to rely on my payout from Tulsa, and thought I was just going to sit out for a while. But through some friends, got back in the high school world at Fayetteville High School in Arkansas, spent a year there. And then some friends of mine here in Tulsa were here in Owasso and courted me and recruited me to come back. And I had grandkids at the time, still do, and wanted to come back and get around them a little bit more. And so I've been here at Owasso High School, finished up 4 years, starting my 5th. So the 10 years from Tulsa have been, from the time I started with you, quite a journey, and very proud of my time that we had at Tulsa. I think we did some really good things. It ended quicker than I had hoped, but that happens a lot in our profession. And so then since then, have gotten to kind of get plugged back in at the high school level and really enjoying this opportunity.
Speaking here with Bill Blankenship here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, a longtime coach in the world of football, high school and college. Bill, as you kind of just brought us through the last decade and whatnot, what have been kind of your biggest learning pieces in the last decade, the biggest takeaways you've had from the jobs that you've been to, the places you've gotten to work, the opportunities you've had? What have been the biggest learning lessons up to this point?
Well, there's 2 or 3, and I'll try to chase these as you want to. One, there's a cynical piece that I think only experience teaches you. Being an alum of the place that I got to coach was a special experience. When I hear that happen today, the first thing that happens first thing that goes through my brain is, I wonder if that guy realizes that this will only end in one of about 3 ways. Either you're going to do well and move on, or you're going to not do well and get fired by your alma mater, or you're going to retire there. And very few coaches get to retire at their alma mater. So I think I had never thought about that. I just thought about what a wonderful thing it was to get to be at the place that I love so much and get to be a part of that. And so I think that has changed how I see things. I'm really not bitter about it. I am very thankful as I look back. I still wish I hadn't been fired, wish I'd have done better. I wish all those things would have happened better. But, man, I don't regret 1 minute getting to go to Memphis for a year and be with that staff and to learn more about the game than I had known. And then do I regret going to Fayetteville and getting to be with those guys and winning a championship in Arkansas? Then getting to come to Owasso, and we've won 2 out of the 4 seasons that we've been here. We've won state championships. So I wouldn't trade any of those things when I look back at it. And so I think it's allowed me to really learn even more, to embrace the journey and to enjoy the trip that we're on, and to just invest in people wherever we are.
And you bring that up, Coach, looking at the 3 things that can happen. Either you do really well and you move on, you don't do that well and you get fired, or you get to retire there. And that you didn't really think about that. And obviously, I mean, those are the avenues, and that's the truth to it. Either you're going to stay there forever, you're going to do enough, they're going to keep you on, or they're going to let you go, or you may move on. Like you said, you don't hold bitterness toward it, but to go to your alma mater where you got to play, and then to be let go from your alma mater, how do you deal through that, and how long did it take you to accept that? Because I can't even imagine, from my case, in my alma mater, if I was in that situation, how I would feel, and how long that would kind of take me to be like, okay, you know what, it didn't work out, that's all right. How did you navigate through that process, and how long of a process was it?
Well, I'm about 7 years out now, and it still stings. It's still, when you focus on it, you can go into was that fair? Was that this? I don't think, it's not what they told me. I can do all that. There is the other very practical side. We understand the business piece of this model. But from the emotional side, I was hurt pretty deeply. It's just again, it's like a divorce. I mean, you've got people that you love, you've got a place that you love, and then you're not there anymore because they don't want you there. And so it feels like a little bit of a divorce. And so then you see a guy that comes in that I have I'm not upset at Philip Montgomery, but he's coaching my kids. It feels like another dad has come in to take over your family. And so there's all of that you have to fight through. And I was very thankful, and I give you that from an emotional standpoint, that you just got to get on. And so I was very thankful that Justin, Coach Fuente, gave me a chance to come to Memphis and actually kind of get away from things and start, kind of focusing on other people and what I was doing and all that. And that helped me a little bit. And then being in Fayetteville the next year kept me a little bit of arm's length with the program. And so I think it allowed me to heal emotionally a little bit. And then I've just learned over time to really fight that urge to be bitter and to hold grudges. Not because I'm such a good dude, but because it's not healthy. I read a quote or heard it from a mentor of mine that basically continuing to be angry or bitter is just like a person choosing to drink poison, hoping the other person's going to die.
Yeah.
Because all it does is just continue to poison your own soul. And so really work to be in my own, not for them, but for me to forgive and to get past it and to, hey, man, this is part of the business and move on. I've had plenty of coaches when it happened call me and welcome me to the club of, fired coaches. That's just, there's really good people out there, really good coaches that have had opportunities to be fired. And it doesn't, what am I trying to say? It doesn't define you. Unless you let it define you. And so been very thankful that I've had a lot of success on the field. And so I don't feel like that I was a flop. But by the same token, it does disappoint me that we weren't able to finish what I had hoped we'd be able to finish at my alma mater.
Speaking here with Bill Blankenship, hanging out on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios. I love what you just, it's funny how God works, because there's been a bunch of statements that have just kind of recycled their way through my life. They just keep coming back. And one of them is drinking, that like holding a grudge or being upset about something is like is like drinking poison hoping the other person dies.
Right.
And it's so funny that you bring that up because I've heard it, I've said it, I've felt that notion that you really can't, like when somebody does something to you and it affects you and it bothers you, you essentially choose whether or not you're going to drink that poison hoping that they die.
Right.
And so I think it's really interesting you bring that up. You talk about moving on from Tulsa and going over to Memphis with Justin Fuente. I have gotten to spend a lot of time with Justin, his time at Memphis, as well as now his time at Virginia Tech. I've gotten to know him over the years for like the better part of almost a decade now. What was it like to work with Justin Fuente?
Well, it was pretty fabulous. Justin, and again, I briefly mentioned this, but Justin played quarterback for me at Union High School and was a 3-year starter and was all everything. And he and I have stayed fairly close over the years through the coaching profession and just friends. And I really think he kind of just out of mercy for his old coach wanted to help me out and got me out of there. But what it also did for me professionally was it allowed me to see somebody else that was a different style of head coach. He had a lot of things that he had learned from others. He'd been on Gary Patterson's staff for a long time, and so there's a real toughness that comes out of Justin and the way they lead, their staff leads. And I loved how he worked that into what they did and how they coached. His offensive staff and I have known each other a long time, but to be able to be in their room every day and to see how they built their offense and how they tweaked it and went back and forth, these are all things I was able to use, even though I'd been in the coaching world for 25 years at that point, or 30 years almost, to be able to take those lessons and just a different twist on how to do things. I think a lot of folks don't understand that there's more than one right way to win. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do football and do it well. And so to always have your antennas up and to be open is a little bit unusual, I think. And one of the things that happens when you get fired, you just have a little more freedom. And so to get that year under Justin and to see him as a leader just really went even to greater lengths of showing me what I could be if I ever did this again.
Yeah, and like you said, showing what you could be if you ever did this again. Being with Owasso High School in Oklahoma, being back in the state of Oklahoma, what does that do for you? I mean, you've been a collegiate coach, you've been an assistant on a collegiate staff, you obviously played it at Tulsa, Oklahoma, coached at Tulsa, Oklahoma, and now back in the state of Oklahoma for Owasso High School. What can you say about the high school level and what it does for you as a coach and how you feel at this point in your career?
Well, I feel a little bit like if you look at my staff and the guys I get to be with every day, I tease people a little bit and say I feel like a Cub Scout leader. I've got all these young pups around me that we get to meet with, and I just kind of get to do the mentoring thing and really love that. From a programmatic standpoint, we're really excited because I feel like I've got a unique perspective to be able to really build a college prep program. Not all of our kids are going to go play in college, but what we have sold to the community and to our parents and our kids, that we're going to run a college type program. And so even if you're not going to play, it's still going to be the best you can be around. And we're going to do things in a way that if you transition from Owasso to a Division I or Division II football program, it ought to be pretty seamless. You ought to already know how to practice. You already ought to know the expectations, the things that they're going to ask them about and to demand of them from nutrition and recovery and all the pieces, the weight training. I mean, we've been able to hire since I've been here. Very excited, but our strength coach has 8-10 years experience at the college level. We have an athletic trainer that has experience at the college level, where he was the head trainer at Tennessee Chattanooga. We've got coaches, many of whom have coached and recruited at the NCAA Division I level. I've got at least 2 guys on my staff that played professionally in the NFL and the CFL. I've got a running back coach who's in the College Football Hall of Fame. So I think we're exposing our guys to some really high-quality people and some high-quality style of coaching. And I just think that's great, even if they never play college. But if they do get a chance, like some of them do, to move on to big schools, or even the middle of the pack schools, they're going to go, you know what, that program prepared me for this.
Yeah, and you talking about Owasso and what you can do. I mean, you're on the other side of recruiting now, where you were looking to bring in these prep school kids and these high school kids and these transfers and whatnot. Now being on the other side of it and having schools come to you and recruit your kids, what has that been like? Because you know what it's like to be the head coach on the other side. You know what it's like to scour the country and look for talent for your collegiate football team. So to be on the other end of that, how have you experienced that?
It's been a lot of fun, because a lot of times I have relationships with the guys that are coming in to do the recruiting. If I don't, then these are a lot of times young guys that come in that want to talk a little more than just about recruiting. So we're able to develop a nice rapport with those guys. I am a lot more, I think, more balanced in my view of recruiting now, having been on the other side, having been a recruiter, having been a head coach that made those decisions. I'm not gonna BS the guys that come in. I'm gonna tell them exactly what I think the guys have and what they can do, and then I'm gonna allow them to make their decisions and not be mad about it. I used to be so protective before, because I'm like, I know what this guy can do. Well, I've had to learn over the course of working with a number of other coaches, what one offensive line coach at the D1 level looks for is not exactly what the other guy wants. The same way with every other position. And so there's a little bit of the eye of the beholder that you have to be okay with if you're the one just presenting your kids. They don't fit everywhere. The unique guys that are national recruits are very unique. And everybody else needs to fit, either an offense or a style or a guy that's defensive end. Is he going to be big enough to play in a 3-man front, or is he going to be a guy that has to be a 4-man front because he's a little more of a speed rusher defensive end, or is he an outside linebacker? And I think just having a little bit of that helps me to be able to talk to the guys that come in and project. And I'm going to chase another rabbit. I am so thankful, though, that I haven't had to deal with the portal and with the craziness of COVID recruiting. I cannot imagine how these guys have been able to pick and find their recruits. I know they've done the best they can, but without having a face-to-face contact with these guys, that scares me for this last 2 classes.
Yeah, and I love what you just said when you said I'm going to chase another rabbit. So I think that's very cool. But to get to that, I mean, you're coaching high school. You're not, like you said, dealing with having to coach collegiately right now and go through the fact that we have these ballooned rosters right now for a year because guys were allowed to have a free year in college football. And, trying to recruit through this, that, whatever. I want to kind of tackle each one of these individually. Transfer portal, what are your thoughts as a coach who has been in the collegiate ranks and has seen multiple angles like we just talked about, with now as a high school coach having your guys get recruited, and before, having to recruit the other way? You were coaching before the transfer portal.
Right.
What are your thoughts on the musical chairs that is now collegiate athletics?
Well, just saying you don't like it doesn't mean that you don't think there was some reasons for it. I don't like it because I don't like the format. Should players be allowed to move around and to transfer? Absolutely. I have no question that should happen. One of my real concerns is the unintended consequences when we just kind of throw things at the wall. With the transfer portal, the numbers speak for themselves, but nobody is counseling the kids. You know, the numbers, when you get in there and look at the number of scholarship athletes, Division I scholarship athletes that enter the portal and how many of them get a scholarship when they leave, it's a little bit mind-boggling. It's not nearly what people would think. The last one I'd heard was about 60%. There are a lot of D2 guys in the portal. Should that be? Oh, absolutely. Don't have a problem with that. But all of a sudden, you're now, are you a farm system at the D2 level? Is there anything that is going to hold kids and coaches together? I don't know. The big issue I have is you can go get in the portal and never talk to your coach.
Yeah.
All you do is go to compliance. They put you in the portal. You don't have to have a counseling session I can see that there might be people that abuse that, but seriously, you have a freshman that's unhappy because he's not playing yet, and he doesn't even go talk to the coach. He just goes and gets in the portal. How many times do we mess up as coaches just because there hasn't been good communication? And if I can sit down with a kid and I go, okay, this is where you are, this is where you're going, this is what I see, and then you still want to get in the portal, that's a different story. But, man, sometimes you go do it before, just because you enjoyed recruiting last time, you want to get recruited again. And it doesn't turn out well a lot of times. The very high-profile guys, it's going to turn out fine. It's the other guys that get lost in the shuffle. So I'm very concerned about that.
Yeah, and you bring it up, like how if somebody makes a mistake or if there's, an issue or somebody wins a starting job, I look at it from the angle of if a coach promises a kid the world and then they leave and they go somewhere else, then the kid should have every right to leave. And they say, oh, you got to be committed to the school. It's like, no, with all due respect, I'm committed to the coach. So if I'm committed to, if I'm committed to Cincinnati and Luke Fickell and the entire staff leave, then Dan, you're supposed to be committed to Cincinnati. Now, but I don't know this coach. I don't know what his mentality is. I don't know who he's going to bring in. I have spent the last 2 years talking to this quarterback coach. I'm playing quarterback. I spoke with Luke Fickell. He came to my house. He ate with my mom. He ate with my dad. Like, I don't like the fact that they put it on the kids and say, well, when the coach decides to dip out, you have to stay committed. But at the same time, personal responsibility, competition, pushing yourself. There's the other ugly side of the transfer portal of I'm just going to keep going and bounce around everywhere like a pinball until somebody just gives me the job or I go somewhere where nobody's going to contest me for the job.
Right. Well, I think, again, the fact that we give them the opportunity is not what I'm against. I'm against the fact that you can do it without talking to your coach. You can do it without having some conversation, some counseling about what are the percentages once I enter the portal that I actually wind up in a better place than what I'm in now. And so those are the things that I just think it's fashionable and we're in it, and there's the pure numbers are mind-boggling that are in the portal right now.
Coming from Bill Blankenship, longtime coach in the world of football here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Bill, coaching through a pandemic, something that you never thought you would do or anybody thought they would do. At Owasso High School, what have you seen for the last 18 months, and how are you moving forward?
Well, first of all, because you have a big audience, I have to, we're in Oklahoma, very conservative state. We're in a suburb, and so politically a little less, I'm not saying less conservative, but because you're near the city, you're going to have a lot more political ramifications to masking, not masking, all the stuff that went on during the pandemic, and still is, I guess, at some level. But the bubble of Oklahoma is way different than the coast and, being in the big cities and all that. So relatively speaking, we've been pretty, we all got to play last year. Now, we dealt with all kinds of protocols that were just exhausting. We didn't have forced testing because of just the pure cost of that. But we did have quarantines and the contact tracing and all those kind of things. So we never had an entire squad for the whole season last year. But more than that, what really was hard is to say it was okay to play, but we didn't really have a team. I mean, the culture, when you say you cannot meet, we did not have one team meeting that wasn't on the football field. So the whole year never had the whole team in a group somewhere where we're trying to teach the things that we think are important. So we adjusted, we got through it, but man, we are so welcome now to be in summer and our preseason where we're actually in meetings, we're actually developing chemistry, we're developing camaraderie, and we know that we're not done with all the pandemic. But here, we're not in the same protocols as we were a year ago. So what will happen next week, who knows? But right now, we're in a more normal situation in terms of the football.
And looking at this team, prospect-wise, guys we should look out for. Who are some of the guys on the team at Owasso that you want to, make mention of that maybe are, highly recruited or getting into being highly recruited? Who are some of the guys we should know about?
Well, we're and I sound like a coach when I say this, but we're pretty loaded this year in terms of guys that are going to get the chance to play at the next level. Chris McClellan is a defensive end / D lineman that is being recruited all over America. I think he dropped his final 5 or 6, and the likes of Alabama and Oklahoma and Ohio State and whoever. Those are the kind of guys he's going to go play for, and he's legit. But we also have an outside linebacker committed to K-State that had offers in all the Power 5 conferences, Jake Clifton. We've got 4 receivers that all 4 of them have offers either from Division I offers or and the service academies are Division I, but I'm saying they're either service academy offers or other Division I programs. Defensively, we've got a corner with an offer to the Air Force, and I think he'll get others. So there's, I feel like we got probably 8 guys, maybe more, that are going to be on college rosters next year at the D1 level. So pretty excited about that group. A couple of those guys are juniors, so I would be in 2 years.
Coming from Bill Blankenship here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We met when he was coaching at Tulsa. He's now at Owasso High School and building up today's youth. Name, image, and likeness, Coach. The purity of the game, amateurism. I mean, there is a lot that's... I feel like you and I need to talk in less than a decade's time in between, because in the time we haven't spoken, the world has flipped upon itself. So what can you say about name, image, and likeness? And are you starting to train your student athletes now?
Well, we haven't started training them yet. So, but we've already started discussions in staff and in our administration to. How are we going to deal with this as it trickles into the high school world? And we can't be surprised by it, because it's going to. Just like, as guys were declaring not to play, in bowl games because they're going to the NFL. Well, that's going to trickle down to guys that, hey, we are not winning. We're not in the playoffs. So, I'm probably going to bypass my last 2 or 3 games to get to play, because I'm going to go play in college. So you better be ready for those ideas. Well, NIL, name, image, and likeness, is, again, a principle that I do not oppose. I don't have a problem with it. What I do oppose is when you just don't have any guidelines whatsoever. And some would argue with me on that, but there really aren't. And so what's going to happen is the richest will just continue to get richer and richer. I'm talking about the programs, because they have the boosters, they have the connects that are going to be able to literally, in my opinion, pay recruits to come here. Because if you'll come to my school, I can promise you this and this and this. And okay, that's all well and good, but is that really what we wanted name, image, and likeness to be? I'm not sure. So then and you guys in the talk business, y'all deal with all this all the time. So how's it going to manifest itself when that guy that's got a big contract is not playing?
Yeah.
And so, and is the coach going to somehow get pressure from the booster who's paying him a gazillion dollars to do this and that because he's not on the field and because he's not doing what he's supposed to? I don't know. This is a crazy time.
And you mentioned exactly what I said on my show. You got two quarterbacks fighting for the job.
Yeah.
One of the quarterbacks gets it. Let's say, one of the quarterbacks gets it and they end up getting $50,000 from some business in Alabama. And then that guy, 3 or 4 weeks in, is injured or he sits and the backup is out there and this dealership that paid $50,000 to this quarterback every single commercial break of the Alabama Crimson Tide game. You got this guy out there and they're going, hey, listen, we're a laughingstock here at Cadillac because the guy that we have here on all our commercials just threw 9 interceptions in 4 weeks and he's not playing. And so can they pull the money and can they give it to, the backup? How does that work? Do they fight with the school? Are they a booster? Do they sit on the board? Can they pressure the can they pressure the head coach? Because who's going to want to back the backup quarterback on their TV commercials? And then they're going to, and then to me, are those quarterbacks going to fight? Are they going to try and build relationships with the receivers? Is the receiver going to say, hey, for every game I get 10 catches, I get an extra, $5,000. If you throw me the ball more, I'll give you 1,000 of my 5,000, Mr. Quarterback. Like all these backdoor deals, side deals, boosters can't be protected. There's so many questions and no answers.
Right. And don't think for a minute Coach A is not going to go to his booster and say, hey, this is a big-time 5-star guy. We got to get in. And so we make promises to him. You make promises to him as your business, and then you get in, and he doesn't turn out to be the guy I think he is, just what you said. So now does Mr. Booster come back on the coach? Or how does that relationship work? And who have we gotten in bed with that now we can't get out of? So I think it's got all kinds of mud all over it, but nobody knows what we're going to do about it. So, are we really going to continue to be college athletics, or are we going to go into being minor league sports? I don't know. And it's going to be a really interesting time for guys in the talk shows because we're going to have lots to talk about.
Yeah.
But by the same token, if I were a college head coach right now, I'd be pulling my hair out because I don't know how to manage all that stuff. If I was an athletic director at a major university, are those guys going to still give the school athletic department money, or are they going to take all that money and just invest it directly into the kids now? And so will I have the same resources to build things and to do things? Because they used to at least give it to us, resources for the athletic department to do what they've been used to doing. I think there's all kinds of little caveats to these things that, we just can't get it back, in the box again.
Yeah, and you talk about who are you in bed with, I say it all the time. I was like, I have my dog and nobody else. So I'm smart about who I get into bed with. But before I let you go, Bill Blankenship, really quick here. Coach, longtime coach in the world of football, and somebody I appreciate of over a decade here with everything that I've gotten to do in my career. Appreciate the fact that he's back here and that he is honored that commitment when we first met each other about a decade ago. So here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of the Cafe Cubal studios, Oklahoma, being in the state of Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12. Again, you talk about pulling your hair out if you're a head coach right now. Realignment almost a decade later, rearing its ugly head. And here it is. We could see the complete dissolving of the Big 12. We could see some Big 12 teams go to the... I have an entire article that I wrote where Iowa State would join Iowa in the Big 10, which would send Maryland back to the ACC. The Big 10 would have 14. The ACC would get Maryland and get West Virginia to give them 16. The SEC would get Oklahoma and Texas, so they would go to 16. The Pac-12 would go to 15 with Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Kansas State. And then the American Athletic Conference would go from 11 right now to 14, and they would essentially become part of the autonomy group, and they would get TCU, who they were supposed to have years back when they were supposed to join the Big East before it dissolved. And they would also get Texas Tech and Baylor to add to SMU and Houston to have 5 Texas teams in the American Athletic. What are your thoughts on realignment? And did you ever think the state of Oklahoma was going to see the Sooners go to the SEC?
Oh, man. You know, Dan, I've lived this long enough to have seen all of the changes that we never thought would happen. You know, and so you've talked about just in the last few years, all of this stuff, and now another realignment. I was actually coaching at Tulsa when we had the last realignment that affected us moving to the American from Conference USA, and that was all a result of, you know, some other teams, you know, the Big East, you know, splitting up and not the football side of it, and the Big Ten grabbing a couple of teams, and others were still, and so you had to negotiate. And so then, so to kind of go through that, you just go, man, that's kind of mind-boggling. Then all of a sudden we wind up, are we really that much different than where we were before? You know, the really, really good, I shouldn't even say good, but the really powerful programs are going to all wind up together somehow. And so doesn't surprise me that that OU would go into the SEC. The thing that I would just lean on is there's a difference in my intellectual understanding and acknowledgement versus just the emotional side of, man, I love some of that old tradition and some of those rivalries. And, you know, the thing I hated about the breakup of the original Big 8, Big 12, you know, the OU Nebraska used to be a big deal. The OU Missouri used to be a big deal. I think we'd ever get past all of them. No. The big question is, will there continue to be OU OSU? Will that, you know, Bedlam game continue? So what commitment do they have? As you know, I'm not telling you anything you don't. The money of the conferences is going to drive it until it doesn't.
Yeah.
And when that TV money goes down the tubes, or at least diminishes, then there will be other reasons to do things. But right now, the money's too big, and you just get behind if you're in Oklahoma or Texas, and you have enough cachet to bring it to the table. You want to get the biggest piece of the pie that you can get, and I get that, but I don't know if it's going to be good for football. I think it's going to be I think this subject, realignment, is going to be important to a lot of people, and I think it's going to take a serious backseat to the NIL and what's going to happen with the, with that as it continues to go down the pike, and then adding to that the portal and the transfers, and I think that whole picture of college football is going to change, and so realignment's probably just a byproduct of the way college football is going to change.
Coming from Bill Blankenship here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cubal studios. And a final thing here, Coach, you've been great about answering all my questions, and I appreciate that so very much. So I do a thing on my show called Rapid Fire, and it allows the opportunity for my interviewee to become the interviewer, and it could be anything. Could be about football, could be about life, literally anything in the world. I'm going to open it to you, a trio of questions, any three. You can ask me whatever you want, but because you've been so gracious with your time and with answering my questions, I'm going to let you put me on the hot seat for 3 questions.
All right, you're the czar of college football. You have all the power. What is the first thing you would change?
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Well, it's funny because, Mark Emmert said that there is no czar and he has no control over college football.
I just named you czar, so
Yeah.
you get to be the czar.
Hey, you get to let me be the czar, and I want to make a note that when Mark Emmert said as the NCAA president that I want to say this because it throws me off that somebody could even say this publicly. When he made the statement, like, there is no czar, everybody wants one, but there isn't one, and nobody wants one. They think they do, but they don't. And he said basically he has no jurisdiction over college football. I was like, so then you're the president of nothing. So then you shouldn't have a paycheck. So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but I digress. So if I'm the czar of college football, what is the first thing that I'm doing? I am... That's tough. Well, I guess, and now I'm actually building parameters for name, image, and likeness. I am building a plan for all 50 states. I'm breaking everything down. I'm making it known that boosters can't just handshake and give you money like we know they've done anyways throughout history. But I'm making it clear that we have to have these contracts in place. There needs to be somebody there at all times representing so that we can see this. I'm making sure that there are no backdoor deals, no side deals, no, this, that, and whatever. I want to make sure that there is a template that we build, and that template is followed by the institutions of what they need from the business, what they can and cannot do, what can be signed into action, and kind of them understanding that what's going to be taxed, them understanding their rights as a player, and the name, image, and likeness and whatnot. I think as the president, as the czar of college football in the NCAA, I would have classes that everyone has to take. I would have that information given to everyone equally, and then I would create a template of what can and cannot be done and the parameters that must be followed, because if everybody follows a different set of rules, then nobody can truly be punished.
Touche. That's it. All right, question number 2. You have a really good friend that's never been to college football, to a live game. You get to take him to 3 games this year. What 3 venues do you want to make sure he gets to experience?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would definitely take him to, and I know that it's not a rivalry, and I know it's not like a big old game, but my best friend Evan is a Florida State fan, and I've grown up in Syracuse, and Syracuse and Florida State are playing in Tallahassee, and I want to go out there with him. So I would bring this person that's never been to college football, I'd bring them out there to Tallahassee, because there's nothing in Tallahassee except for Florida State. And, it's I call it Hogwarts. It looks like a giant castle on the outside, giant, beautiful field on the inside, almost 90,000 seats or whatever it is. So I loved my experience out there. I've gotten to see Florida State, Syracuse, and Florida State. So I would bring them out to Tallahassee. I would bring them to Notre Dame, to South Bend, and I would probably say Penn State. I'd probably bring them out there to see that experience, because I want them to live life with 100,000 fans. So I'd probably bring them out to those arenas, and and then a little bonus: there's nothing like the Dome in my backyard. So and the Dome's had a lot of renovations. The only reason why I wouldn't say the Dome is this team has struggled so much that I want to bring somebody to the Dome when the Dome is rocking and this team is back where it needs to be, and it's been a long, long time since they've been there. So I definitely would like to bring them to see the Dome once this team is consistently rocking the Dome in the right direction. And I got to give a shout out to UCF, because when you're in the press box at UCF, it feels like you're in a flight simulator. And so the bounce house is real, and when they bounce on the bleachers, we literally rock forward and backward in the press box. So
I've been in that press box also. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Thank you. What's your last one?
Oh, last one. All right. Let me lay it on you. Let's see. You favorite place to vacation you've never been?
Okay.
Not favorite, but one place you want to go that you've never been for vacation.
Italy and Spain to go visit my family. Simple.
Yep. Beautiful.
So that coming from Bill Blankenship there at Owasso High School and in the state of Oklahoma. Thank you, Bill, for coming back onto the show. Thank you for everything you brought today to it. Final word I'll let you have here. What should we know about Owasso High School this year and about the football team?
Oh, we've got it going on. We've got a really good squad. We'll make a run for the championship. That doesn't mean we'll win it. I'm saying we've got the pieces in place that if we kind of keep them going, that we'll at least have that opportunity. Really excited to be at a great place. We're just on the north side of Tulsa, a suburb for those that don't know. It's a wonderful place to live, wonderful place to be. I'm not in retirement mode yet, but I can certainly see it from here. Don't know when it's going to be, but I can't wait to hit some of those venues that we were talking about. I'm going to want to make sure I get an Army-Navy game as one of my bucket list deals. I want to get to Blacksburg for one of their games, to Clemson, to I've been to Notre Dame. I want to go to there. But I can't wait to have that opportunity to start getting out and being a fan.
That coming from Bill Blankenship, always a fan. That's how it all starts. Longtime coach in the college and high school ranks, and here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Bill, thank you so much, and I'll make sure that you're not a stranger from here.
All right, my friend. Hey, have a good one.
That coming once again from Bill Blankenship here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Truly appreciate the time here that we got to have with Bill Blankenship and celebrating, these relationships, these bonds, these, like I said, you build bridges, and you don't. My job is not tearing bridges down; it's building them up, And Bill Blankenship, we met when he was the coach at Tulsa, when I was coming in to. Well, I mean, I had been covering Big East football, but in the transition to the American Athletic, and Tulsa was coming in, I got to know Bill Blankenship, and getting to know him, obviously in this coaching world, like he said, you go back and coach at your alma mater, three things happen. Either you do great and you move on, you don't do that great and they fire you, or you retire there. And so, he ended up being let go, as he made mention of, and now he's at Owasso, and we've kept in touch with each other on social media and reaching out to him and, saying, hey, you know what? I miss, and it's, I mean it when I say it. When I tell these coaches and these players, hey, I care about you today, tomorrow, and the next day. Wherever you end up, whatever happens, you get fired, you move on, you get recruited here, you go to this, you go to that, you transfer. That once I build those relationships, those bridges are built. And, if they're built between, me and another good person, then I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it, I'm going to hold on to it, I'm going to utilize it and come back to it. And now all these years later, almost a decade year later, here we are again. I shouldn't say a decade later. It's a little bit less than that. But, all these years later, here are Bill and I talking again and sharing the airwaves again. So it's just a true testament to building bonds and building relationships and good bonds between, people that care and people that want to see good in the world and want to see people succeed and want to see people grow and blossom and elevate their game and move forward. So it's a true honor to speak with Bill Blankenship. And whether you're a fan of Tulsa or a fan of Owasso or even know who Bill is, the conversation today is very meaningful. And that's how I, talk about all of my guests that I have on the show. Like, hey, you may be a fan of this team, you may not be. You may know this person, you may not. But everybody's got a story to tell, and Wake Up Call is a place where everybody's welcome. So I'm very honored and appreciative of the over 2,500 people that have been on this show, probably closer to 3,000 at this point. And, they mean a lot to me. So to have Bill back on the show, Bill Blankenship, truly is a special moment for me here on Wake Up Call. And this is going to be shared so that you can go back to the archive and listen as we talk about, the ever-changing world of football at high school and college level and everything that's going on in NIL and realignment and so on and so forth. You could search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to find the episode with Bill Blankenship coming up this week now that it went on the air this morning. Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, the RSS feed, and so much more. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and you'll find our shows. Podbean featuring over 1,500 episodes. So definitely go there and check that out today. Over 120,000 downloads, and you don't have to download it to play it. You can play it right from Twitter. When I add the URL to Twitter, you can play it right from Twitter at Call DT, Wake Up Call, at Wake Up Call DT on Facebook. You can play it right from there. So when you hit play, those don't even count toward that 120,000 plus. If you play it without downloading it, it doesn't even go to that number. So that's 120,000 plus downloads just on Podbean alone, which is easily in the upwards of 500,000 plays, because it's a mere fraction of the people that we actually have play the broadcast. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of you around the country and the world that have been playing the show, downloading the show, and just finding Wake Up Call somehow, some way, by the grace of God. I'm happy that you found us, and every single person. If we got out to one human being and we did one good thing for one person in the world somewhere at some point today, then I'm good with that. So thank you, much appreciation, and God bless to each and every single one of you. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora featuring Syracuse Orange football. Inside of MaandPazPopcorn.com is what's popping, giving you the list of topics of the day. And you can go to MyandPazPopcorn.com and use my promo code DT20, that's DT20, to get 20% off MyandPazPopcorn.com. Whatever you fancy, whatever's on the site that you love, any of their treats, and of course, their popcorn and kettle corn. Numerous flavors at MyandPazPopcorn.com. Whether you're in Central New York, buy them on 201 Old Liverpool Road. If you're right there, or pardon me, 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool. If you're right here in the community where you can come pick it up, or you're in any one of the 50 states, maybe you're in New York but you're up in the Adirondacks, or you're in Binghamton, you can go to MyandPazPopcorn.com and order today. Use my promo code DT20, that's DT20, for 20% off today. And now I'm happy to feature all new commercials inside of this fast break. This is the first time these are being unveiled. K9, the one that you know and the nostalgic, is back, and there's plenty of new ones for Avicolli's, PB&J's Lunchbox, and Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student-athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be, from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Appreciate having you here where sports meets that thing called life, and always thankful to have you inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street, 208 North Townsend Street, where you'll find Kubal Co-works as well, and you could go to Kubal Co-works and rent out some space for your business. You can rent out some individual space for your business, have a little room to yourself, a little area to go, a little office, or you can rent out some of their meeting room area and, of course, their podcasting headquarters to edit video and audio. So a lot of great things to do if you want to get away from home, especially now with so many people working from home. If you'd like to have a place to go, then you can get in touch with Kubal Co-works right there on 208 North Townsend Street, right above Cafe Kubal. So make sure that you do that today and enjoy your coffee in your new office. How about that? Enjoying your coffee in your new office. So a lot of good stuff here coming from Kubal Co-works, and you can get in touch with them by calling this number. You can call 315-605-8225. That's 315-605-8225. And, of course, you can find Cafe Kubal also at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse. We thank you for the work you're doing with all of the kids in the community, very much so, and in communities that are coming into town, so thank you for that. And, of course, to the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road, where we were yesterday to start off the week, and that is the new Sweetheart Corner location in North Syracuse with the first ever Cafe Kubal drive-thru, so make sure you check that out. So, with that being said, inside the Cafe Kubal studios, it's now time to jump into our Syracuse interviews featured inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Dino Babers, as well as the Syracuse Orange football team, going to be featured here today, and I'm very honored and thankful for the opportunity to be able to do this.
Tell me, how do you assess?
And to have some fun here this morning where sports meets that thing called life, and definitely appreciate you being here and appreciate you taking some time with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as I've had the opportunity to speak with numerous players as well as head coach Dino Babers on these last couple weeks. And so we've had the opportunity to do that, and I want to jump right into that here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So once again, thank you for being a part of the show.
Despite the loss,
and to take a look at some of these things. So we have video and audio conversations with the players and the coaches, and we're going to start first and foremost with Dino Babers, my Q&A. Now, some of these I didn't get to last week, so I wanted to make sure I didn't skip over them. Here's Dino Babers speaking on Tommy DeVito after Game 1 and his thoughts on how Tommy had played back then.
Coach, just assessing Tommy DeVito after that first game and his running ability and the dual threat that he created for you in that victory.
Very, very. I thought he had a really, really good game, threw for a high percentage, made some really good decisions. Even on the one sack, I believe, of the game, had a miscue with something going on with the wide receivers. And then he had the knowledge of knowing that it was going to be a dead play, pushed the ball to the line of scrimmage, not taking a sack, and then you considered the ball for a placement, which I thought was really cool. So I'm really happy with this play that he did a really nice job.
So Dino talking about the fact that he was really happy with how Tommy had played in week number 1 and how he was able to adjust to do some different things and run the ball. Deuce Chestnut got the game ball as a true freshman playing in his first career collegiate game, and Dino said that was history for him.
Coach, just what you can say about Deuce Chestnut and what he was able to do coming in as a true freshman. You lose Iffy, and then you gain another guy that people may not want to throw toward now.
Sunday in the team meeting, Deuce Chestnut got the game ball. And 35 years, I've never seen anybody, never even heard of anybody getting the game ball in the first collegiate game. I'm sure there's some guys out there, but they've never on my teams. So it really, really is amazing. It's something that you don't anticipate, you could never thought of, and doggone glad it happened. I'm really happy to see it.
And so Coach talking about the fact that Deuce Chestnut got the game ball after Week 1's win over Ohio 29-9. He said it's never happened before on anyone. He doesn't know of any time that it's happened that a true freshman has gotten the game ball on their first collegiate game ever. So a true freshman in their first ever college game getting the team's game ball, he's never known to happen. He said definitely not on my team. And so making that note right there that Deuce Chestnut made some history with Dino Babers in all the years that Dino's been coaching. And you could see Dino visibly was moved and just kind of, honestly, it looked like he was a little emotional over the fact that Deuce did what he did in his first ever game. Speaking of the defensive backs, Garrett Williams, I asked him about, he said that, in other times the team would bend and break, but that they didn't do it against Ohio, and I wanted to get into that a little bit deeper.
Garrett, you said that last season that would have happened. What changed this year that you don't crumble?
We're just emphasizing the little things, I feel like we're honing in on all the little details that we might have not done as well last year. So especially like red zone defense for us defensively, like they got in our red zone a couple times and holding the field goals every single time. I think that's a really big lead in the right direction.
I asked Coach about Deuce, and he said he got the game ball on Sunday. He doesn't remember ever giving a game ball to a true freshman in their first game, but he thought that he earned it. What can you say about him getting the game ball and if you felt like it was deserved?
Oh, yeah, it was definitely deserved. He made multiple plays, not even just the interception at the end, but he made a lot of big plays for us and saved a lot of people's tails in some plays too, so I feel like it was well warranted.
So that coming, he said Deuce Chestnut saved a lot of people's tails, so he felt like it was well warranted to give him the game ball. And talking about how this team bends but didn't break, and I want to go back to that again, and that the team didn't crumble. He said last year that the team would have, and this year that they didn't. So I want to go back to that because obviously they struggled against Rutgers, but the defense really didn't struggle that much against Rutgers. It was the offense. I want to go back to what Garrett said after the Ohio game once again and play that again.
Garrett, you said that last season that would have happened. What changed this year that you don't crumble?
We're just emphasizing the little things, I feel like we're honing in on all the little details that we might have not done as well last year. So especially like red zone defense for us defensively, like they got in our red zone a couple times, and holding the field goals every single time, I think that's a really big lead in the right direction.
I asked
You
Coach
know,
about Deuce, and he
they
said he got
did
the game
that.
ball on Sunday. He doesn't
As
remember
we
ever
see
giving
this.
a game ball to a true freshman in their first game.
You know,
but he
and
thought that
taking
he
a look
earned
at
it.
this
What can
and
you say
taking a
about
look
him
at
getting the game ball and
Garrett
his
Williams
deserved?
and what
Oh, yeah,
he
it was definitely
what he
deserved.
just
He
said,
made
you know,
multiple
that this
plays, not even
team
just interception
had
to him,
given
but he made a
stuff
lot of big
up
plays for us
before
and saved a
and
lot from
not
his
giving
tails
it
on
up
some plays
now.
too, so I feel good
You
about
know,
that.
and the fact that there, you know, he said last year in the red zone that, you know, that they would give it up, and he said Ohio got in our red zone a couple times and you hold them to field goals. They did that against Rutgers. They did that. So the prognostic, I mean, he was almost foreshadowing without even knowing he was foreshadowing. But Garrett Williams talking about, hey, last season we would have crumbled against, you know, in some of these games. And I said, well, what do you mean? And what happened? And he said last season, and he was talking about Ohio at the time, the game that they won 29-9 on the road to start this season. He said, you know, if that had happened last season, that they would have given something up. They would have crumbled. This year, they prevented it. They prevented a touchdown. They prevented the opportunity for a team like Ohio to move forward, or any team to move forward. And then they did it again against Rutgers. They did it again against Rutgers. Because if you go back to the game this past Saturday in the Dome, Saturday, September 11th, never forget, and may God watch over us all, going back to that game, Syracuse, the defense is there, and they prevent a touchdown right there in the red zone, and what happens? The kicker comes for a 29-yard field goal for Rutgers, and he misses, right? Then Tommy DeVito, on the very first play of the next offensive drive, taking over at the 29, fumbles the ball and gives it back to Rutgers and back into the red zone area. I shouldn't say on the 29. It was closer than it was in the red zone. So Tommy fumbles in his own red zone, gives the ball back, and the defense prevents another touchdown. They prevented a touchdown in their red zone, forced a field goal, Rutgers misses. Tommy DeVito fumbles, they go back on defense 5 seconds after leaving the field, they prevent another touchdown, and that time Rutgers makes the field goal from 27 away. 3 points when there should have been 14, minimum. If that was Clemson, 14. Alabama, 28. I don't know. They find a way to have 4 touchdowns in 2 possessions. But think about that. Think about that. Garrett Williams said, we didn't crumble this year like we would have last year. Defensively, they held the line against Ohio. And then they did the exact same thing against Rutgers, and it was the offense that didn't show up. They did the exact same thing against Rutgers. They held the line. They held the line. And speaking of the line, I had the opportunity to speak with Chris Bleich, and we talked about a lot of different things. So I want to go into first him being able to get out there.
Just what you can say about finally getting that action in orange and blue, a different orange and blue, getting that game under your belt, coming off of Ohio, just what your take was from maybe your play.
I mean, for my first game back in 22 months, I think it was just fun to be out there and actually take the first snaps after such a long time off. I mean, it was just enjoyable throughout the whole time, and obviously have a W coming out of it just made it that much more enjoyable. I mean, you can only soak in so much until you have to stay on to the next one, which is already that time.
22 months off the field, just how you mentally got through that.
I still don't know how I did it. I mean, it went by so fast, but when you look back at it, you kind of see all the moments where it actually hit me, and it's just weird to think about now that it's over with, in a way.
And to continue on the conversation with Chris Bleich, coming from the Florida Gators and now moving forward to Syracuse and having played 2 games now, this coming after the first game that I had the opportunity to talk with him, to go from orange and blue to orange and blue, from Gainesville to Syracuse. We continue the conversation with Chris.
Looking back on your time at Florida, what did you take away from that?
The memories, the fun, the friends I had from it. I mean, still lifelong friends I talk to this day. So, I mean, that's one of the biggest takeaways I could have from that experience.
And you look at coming here now and seeing what this team was able to do with the offensive line. It struggled the last couple of years, but only allowed 1 sack in this game. What can you say about the unit and maybe how you guys are building comfort with each other as you go forward.
I mean, I think the unit's just grown together as one under Coach Schmidt. I mean, I feel like he came in here and really got a hold of us, like kind of sat us down and just coached his fundamentals, how he wants it done. And I feel like everything that he's doing for us showed up on Saturday. But, I mean, we'll see how it goes next week. Obviously, tougher competition. I mean, Ohio is a great team, but this is a bigger conference. So, I mean, our goal is to do the same exact thing no matter who's in front of us.
Aaron Service, the grandfather of this line, just what you could say
I call him Grandpa. He gets mad about it.
And what can you say about what he's meant to you and how he kind of brought you in?
He's actually my locker buddy. I mean, we'll have talks like every now and when I was feeling down or something, he'll pick me back up. I mean, he's obviously the leader on the line. He'd been here, even the team actually. He'd been here for such a long time. He knows the offense so well. He could sit me down if I have questions and just help me out. I mean, he's a great leader to be around, and he helps me out tremendously in the whole line.
I love the fact that I call Aaron Service Grandpa, and I called him Grandpa to his face, the grandpa of the line, and then to find out, not even know that Chris Bleich calls him Grandpa as well. So smart minds, I guess, there, Chris, as and a lot of respect for Aaron Service and everything he's done for this team. Looking at the fuel behind Chris Bleich getting back onto the field. He's a couple games in, but having to wait as long as he did, this is a final piece with Chris.
Chris, you had to sit out, like you said, 22 months and wait. When you saw mistakes happen last year and you couldn't do anything about it, what did that do to kind of fuel you now this year, knowing that before you were kind of held on the sideline and now you're one of the guys out there that could make the change?
Can you say that question one more time?
Yeah, just what you could say about having to watch last year when issues arose and you couldn't come onto the field, and now you have the opportunity to make a change.
I feel like one of the nicest things is like being able to be on the field and actually contributing, like not being able to stand back, like helpless. Like if I'm out there, like being able to help is one of the best feelings.
Tommy DeVito, you talked about him a little bit. What you can say about his leadership and how he came out to start the season?
I mean, me personally, I love Tommy. I think he's as good of a quarterback as anyone I've ever seen. I mean, his leadership is awesome. Like when I accidentally gave up a pressure on one play, I looked right at him. I'm like, sorry, man, because like I hate when anyone touches my quarterback. He's like, don't worry about it. Next play, we kept moving on, and we just took care of business from there. I mean, Tommy is just someone. He doesn't get hard-headed. Like if something happens that wasn't good, like from goal lineman, he's never someone to come name call or anything. He just motivates us for the next play. I mean, he's an awesome guy.
When you saw him last year, obviously he got hurt last year, but to see him go through some of the frustration in the team and the line go through that, did he ever talk about last season to you, or do you guys ever go over anything like that?
I feel like most of our talks were just trying to avoid the injuries and stuff like that. I mean, we just kept it like on like just a mutual basis because obviously we're going through some times and we really didn't want to be reminded of it.
So do you let that go? I mean, now that you have that win over Ohio under your belt, does it kind of just feel like this is a new beginning, this is a new era, and it's not on your mind last year?
I feel like it is a new beginning, but it's something in the past that I feel like you can never completely forget. I mean, it's kind of like a chip on the back of my shoulder with everything that happened. And it's something I feel like I would always carry, but like move on from in a sense.
And lastly for me, you come from the Northeast. I don't think Northeast players get enough respect. What can you say about being an O-lineman from up in this area?
I mean, I do agree. I feel like we do not get enough respect. I feel like you go down south and like that's where all the hype is for the players, but I feel like the Northeast just has a good of.
They're talking about the fact the Northeast has a good of talent here, and Chris Bleich speaking with us about that. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words, the positive words, the promotion of Northeast football. And talking about the fact that, they didn't forget last season. Even though he didn't play, even though he had to sit out a season when he transferred from Florida, which to me is kind of ridiculous, knowing now that nobody's sitting out a season. And will they ever sit out a season again, I guess is the big question. But, seeing what he has done, seeing what Chris Bleich, has had to do to sit and wait and then be able to go out there and to actually be a part of this team and, and affect this team to say, listen, we didn't forget last year. And even though he didn't play, it's still there. It's in his head. He was on the team. He was on the sideline. So knowing that you move forward, you go into the next chapter, but, he still knows, hey, this is what happened. And you don't want that to happen again. Syracuse, obviously, after talking to him, had a little skid offensively against Rutgers. I thought the defense did what they were supposed to do, as I mentioned before with Garrett Williams. And now, we have to see what type of team is going to respond against Albany. And granted, I know. Well, Dan, it's Albany. I know. I understand. But guess what? It's the next team on. And Syracuse played Villanova, and it took them overtime to take them down in the past. So don't overlook any opponents. And this offense beat itself against Rutgers. Rutgers did not beat Syracuse. And I don't want to take anything away from Rutgers. Rutgers did not beat Syracuse more than Syracuse beat themselves. I want to be clear about that. Syracuse beat themselves against Rutgers. More than anybody could have beaten them, they beat themselves. That needs to be clear, because that's what happened in the game. That's what I saw. That's what I know. And I challenge anybody to tell me anything different. That's what was on the field. Syracuse beat the heck out of themselves in a big way. And they have to live with that. They have to live with the fact that they gave a game up to a team that they didn't need to. Not that you have to give up anything to anybody. I'm just saying that game should have never gone in favor of Rutgers. It should have never gone there. And Syracuse,
visibly upset and total,
has to live with that.
But we beat ourselves.
And they did. They beat themselves. They beat themselves more than anybody beat them. That could have been any opponent. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to take anything away from Rutgers. I'm just making a statement. Any team could have played Syracuse the way they were playing offensively, and they would have lost. Any team could have played them. It wasn't enough. It wasn't even close to being enough. And it's frustrating, but now they have to move forward.
Mikel, just so you could...
And I had the opportunity to speak with...
And stop the running back.
I had the opportunity to speak with Mikel, as well as with Dino Babers, Tommy DeVito, and Caleb Okechuwku, as well as Taj Harris. You're going to hear all of these conversations right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Post-game conversations with Syracuse head coach Dino Babers and the players right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand butter chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. You're listening on Facebook.com, you're listening on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT as well as WakeUpCallDT.com, and you are watching and listening on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. So however you're connecting with the show, thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory proudly bringing you what's poppin'. You heard a terrific conversation with Bill Blankenship. Just thankful for all the time that he spent in his journey and just his honesty, and going through being fired to being a state champion now as a high school coach and being on both sides of recruiting, seeing all these different worlds seeing the world of college football and all these different angles, so to speak, and what high school football is becoming, what college football is becoming, the fact that he's in the state of Oklahoma at Owasso High School, and that Oklahoma is going to leave the Big 12 and leave their rivalry with Oklahoma State to join the SEC. Just a lot of great conversation and a lot of great questions from Bill Blankenship as well. And it's just great to know that these bonds you hope you build you always hope you have, at least for me, I always hope I have a positive effect on people. And I always hope that I connect with people in a special way that's memorable. And to have that come back all these years later and for Bill to be on the show and for us to continue to build on our relationship really does mean the world to me. And it's something that it has so much value I can't put a price tag on it. So I want to thank Bill for that. And I definitely appreciate it. So, God bless. Moving forward to Dino Babers and the team, you've been seeing and hearing from Syracuse. Now it's time to hear from Dino after the game. And so we're going to jump in and see what Dino had to say here. We're going to listen in to my question to Dino Babers immediately following the matchup that they had with Rutgers at home, where I believe they beat themselves more than Rutgers beat them. This is what Dino had to say when I asked him about not going for it on 4th and 10 on the Rutgers 41 with inside 8 minutes to play and down in the game. And this is how Dino responded.
Coach, just to go into 4th and 10 in Rutgers territory with inside 8 minutes to go, just a decision to punt, going back to that.
Basically, the defense has stopped them before. I've got 3 timeouts. If you take the field position, it was a 50-50 call. I decided to go with the defense, see if we could stop them. If not, it's a 4th and 10. If we'd have got 5 yards, 4 yards, 6 yards on the 3rd down play, I'd have definitely gone for it. But with the 4th and 10, that's a tough one.
So Dino's saying he would have gone for it on 4th down if they were a little bit closer. If they had gotten a few more yards, put themselves in a 4th and 5, that type of potential situation, that he would have gone for it. But the 4th and 10 was tough to go for. So say what you want to say, but they decided not to go for it. He thought on 3rd down, if they had gotten a little bit closer, that there's a chance he would have gone for it. When I went and I asked the fans what your thoughts were on Dino Babers and the team not going for it Dino making the decision to not go for it on 4th down as the head coach of the team, I asked you what your take was, and I put that on Twitter. So if you're not on Twitter, make sure you get on Twitter. That's at CallDT. That's at CALLDT. Once again, CALLDT on Twitter. I asked you, should Syracuse Orange head coach Dino Babers have punted on 4th and 10, down 10, 17-7 with under 8 minutes to go? 80.7% of you said no, he shouldn't have punted. He should have gone for it. And 10.3% of you said, 19.3% said yes, he should have punted. So 19.3% agreed with Dino's decision to punt on 4th and 10. 80.7% said no. I agree with the 80.7%, which is why I asked the question. With that being said, we go to our next question here, and that is to Mikel Jones, linebacker for Syracuse, getting his take after the game, after a tough game, a game where the defense did what they needed to do, where the defense played well, where I don't think the defense did anything but give the offense numerous opportunities to win the game, just like they've done before. Here is my question to Mikel Jones following the loss to Rutgers at home.
Mikel, just what you could say on that 4th down, getting through and doing what you did. I mean, obviously you got excited about that despite the loss, just what the defense was able to do, and that play specifically when you were able to burst through and stop the running back.
I felt like it was a great play called by Coach White. I seen the tackle looking at me, so I knew the guard was pulling. So I adjusted my alignment and just shot through the gap.
Very simple there, but taking a look at the 4th down. So we go from 4th down. We go from a 4th down to a 4th down, right? Asking Dino, why did you not go for it on 4th and 10, and then saying to Mikel Jones, you did go after it on 4th down. Rutgers decided to go for it on 4th down. You attacked them and caught them in the backfield, and not only got the ball back to Syracuse, but pushed them back a few more yards and had them lose some yardage on their 4th down rushing attempt try, where the kid didn't even have an opportunity to go anywhere. So the juxtaposition of asking Dino, why didn't you go for it when I felt like he needed to, and then Mikel, when Rutgers went for it on 4th down and he shut him down. So again, the defense did what they needed to do in this game, and the offense, in my opinion, could have done better. Speaking with Tommy DeVito after the game, I asked his thoughts on his take since he was leading the offense the majority of the game. Garrett Schrader only playing sparingly in the second quarter. So I asked Tommy, who started the game and played the entire second half, what his take was. And this is what Tommy had to say to me following a game that Syracuse lost 17-7, where the offense looked pretty good in the beginning and then sputtered out for the rest of the game. This is what he had to say.
Tommy, how do you assess your play after a game like this, and how much do you put on yourself after this game?
Right. I mean, I put a lot on myself. Being the quarterback of the offense, whether it's in the run game or the pass game, I touch the ball first, besides the center, obviously. But I mean, I have to make it work. I have to, I put a lot on my shoulders. I take a lot on the back, and I mean, I take this one hard, but at the same time, watch film tomorrow, go in and make the corrections that need to be made, and have a new mindset going into next week.
Talking about a new mindset going into week 3 here, which is at home against Albany, and very important to do that. And Tommy telling me that the biggest thing that he worked on that he thinks improved in the offseason is his mentality. So having a different mindset, let's see. Let's see if it comes out. Let's see if it works, and him putting a lot of it on himself. Greg said, taking everything into consideration, coming off a 1-10 season, needing to show the team and fans that he wants to win, he certainly should have went for it. So, talking about Dino going for it on 4th and 10, which he decided not to do, and I'm not surprised that the majority of the fans agree with me that he should have gone for it. I understand 4th and 10 is awful. It's not as bad as 4th and 30, and it's not as good as 4th and 5, but it's 4th down, and you're in Rutgers territory, and you're down 10, and it's inside 8 minutes, and they had a drive in the first half that they carried for over 6 minutes. So you knew that they were capable of holding on to the ball. I think all the information was there to go for it, and I would have. If I was a coach, I would have done it. I would have. Based on all the information I just gave you, I would have done it. So, I know 4th and 10 is undesirable, but it's also undesirable to lose and know that I feel like if I had lost that game, coaching the game, kicking it on 4th and 10, I would have felt like I didn't do enough. That's my opinion of myself. Not Dino's of his, that's me of me. So, I would have went for it. It's as simple as that. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I would have went for it. Because I would have. Because what do I have to lose? So, I'm already down 10. I'm already playing like Garbajosa. So, I gotta do something. I would have went for it. Taj Harris is up next. My one-on-one conversation with Taj coming out of this game. And this is what Taj had to say when I had the opportunity to speak with him. And I definitely appreciate you being here inside the Cafe Kubal studios, watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Once again, Taj Harris here with me, where sports meets life, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, giving me his thoughts following the team's loss to Rutgers at home 17-7.
Well, visibly upset and totally understandable after you had your second catch of the game and they ended up calling it a fumble. Just what you saw in that play.
I don't want to dwell on that, but that's definitely something that can't happen. Got to take care of that. Reduce turnovers.
And then you get down the field later on in the game and have a huge play that opens things up for 51 yards, and it sets up Sean Tucker. Just what you can say from that respect.
That's just how we got to go, man. Telling me we got man, it's time to go. That's just how we got to play. Anytime we got man on either side, I'm usually thinking we getting bracket. So once we get that man look, it's time to roll. And that's what we did, but that's what we got to do. We got to make sure we're stepping on them from the beginning.
DeVito and Schrader share time here. DeVito comes in first, then Schrader later on in the first half, and then back to DeVito. Is it hard to build chemistry or to kind of get into a rhythm when something like that happens?
No, it's not hard at all. It's just when it's time for me to make plays or it's time for other guys on offense to make plays, we just got to make them, Both of them are really good quarterbacks, and they both give us all opportunities to make plays. We just got to make them happen.
Do you feel like Rutgers beat you, or do you feel like you beat yourselves more in this game?
We beat ourselves by far. No doubt talking on Rutgers. They're a good football team, but we beat ourselves.
Taj Harris echoing my sentiments that Syracuse beat themselves more than Rutgers beat them. Caleb Okechuwku, never had him on the show before, and have the honor and privilege of sharing my first ever conversation with him
Welcome
today.
Back here to
where
Wake Up
sports
Call
meets
with Dan
that thing
Tortora.
called life, so I'm very happy to be able to share that with you here with Caleb Okechuwku, current Syracuse Orange football defensive end, who is coming off of this Rutgers game where he got his first ever start of his career at Syracuse. Cool stuff. Being able to speak with Caleb right after history was made in his life. Here's Caleb Okechuwku.
Well, despite the loss, you were able to get in there on 2 sacks. Just what you can say about how you were viewing their offensive line and getting around them.
Yeah, we watched film all week on them, and we felt like they were big up front, but we just felt like they didn't really move well. So just using my speed and athleticism just to get around blocks and just trusting myself, being my first game starting. So.
Your first game starting, just what you could say about earning that spot, and when did you find out that you were going to be the starter?
Last week after the first game, Kingsley had went down, so my coach was telling me, be ready, getting 1 reps all week, but all season I just feel like I'm a starter, so now I just had the opportunity just going out there just to have fun with the guys. Nothing really changed for real.
to have that opportunity, just working to get to that moment, remembering maybe some of those days in the grind, just going back to maybe some of those moments of adversity that you can appreciate now as a starter?
I think it's a blessing. 2 years ago, I didn't know if I was ever going to play again. You know what I'm saying? So I just hitting like with that reality, and just being able to be back out there last year, not knowing if we're going to have a season. Just to putting on the show for the fans, all the little fans, just playing, having fun with the guys is really all I care about for them.
You said 2 years ago you didn't know if you'd ever play again. What was that?
I had rhabdomyolysis, and that's basically I was overly dehydrated, and I was in the hospital for about 3 weeks. And when I came out, they told me I had lost about 50 pounds, and they didn't know something like basically my kidney levels were above 300,000. So they were like basically telling me that I might not ever play again if I don't recover. So just, I've had a lot of adversity while I've been here at Syracuse. So just staying the course, not giving up on myself, keeping my faith in God really, and just taking it one day at a time.
You said keeping in your faith in God. That's something that I appreciate a lot. So just to go into that a little bit deeper, how you leaned on that.
Oh yeah, I come from a spiritual family, praying family. So trusting Him, and it was all a part of the plan. And it was definitely nothing easy about it, but just just keeping my faith. Just one day at a time with it. Getting away from football, but trusting Him that everything was going to work together for my good. So.
Did you really have to let go and let God when you were in the hospital?
Oh yes, sir. Because I've never, up until that point, 2019, I never missed a practice before in my life. You know what I'm saying? So just having that moment, and just realizing that it might be taken away, and there was nothing I could do to help myself. Literally, it was all interior, so it was all in my body to heal. So really just getting back to my roots, and just trusting God that it will all be okay.
So you get out there, you get your first start here in this game, and you make your presence known in those sacks. Just looking back on this game, I know you got to go back and look at film and whatnot, but your immediate reaction personally, how did you feel you played?
I felt I played well. I definitely feel like I got to clean up my technique. I want to clean up the little things. The good play's gonna take care of itself. You know what I'm saying? So I think last year, just realizing that as a player, all the little things gonna take care of itself. But I want to be complete. I want to be a complete defensive lineman. I want to be able to stop the run and rush the passer. So just clean up my technique. But other than that, I feel like we had fun playing together. Just playing for each other. Like my teammate AJ. His dad died. His dad died on 9/11. So really, just thinking about him and all those other guys for real.
Speaking of AJ Calabro,
yes.
So how have you tried to be there for him, and did the team do anything for him?
Yeah, we did. Last night we had a little team meeting, just loving up on him, just talking about life for real. And my mother passed away when I was 13, so we can relate. So we came in together in 2018. So we kind of shared that connection right there. You know what I'm saying? I kind of spoke to him before the games, telling him, I'm thinking about you today. It's not about me, it's about my teammates. So, yeah.
How do you stay focused and stay positive when your mom passes away at 13 years old?
It's hard. There's no formula to it. Just like I said, my dad being who he is, just raising us right. You know what I'm saying? Just telling us he's a prayerful man. So just him teaching us that, just keeping our faith. And it was nothing easy about it. It's still not easy to this day. But just realizing that from a young age, realizing that it's not about me, and losing her at a young age just made me realize that this life is bigger than myself. So that's things I think about on a daily basis.
Well, what can you take from this game, this 17-7? Because it seems like you guys beat yourselves more than you were defeated by Rutgers. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I feel like we got a lot of polishing to do, just on the defense side of the ball. Just as a team in general, just fixing what we need to fix. Just obviously we're gonna do that during the week. So.
That coming from Caleb Okechuwku here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And he talked about fixing defense. These guys on the defensive side, man. I hope the offense catches up with them, because they are pushing. They are pushing. And this defense, with a good offense, would be, in the words of Fabulous, they be killing them. So we be taking a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal Studios. Ingredients to success right after this.
Cafe Kubal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cubal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpassnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Here at Progressive Dental, we understand the importance of regular dental visits and preventive care. Cleanings and checkups are essential to good oral health. We have multiple locations in the southern tier, so come visit us in Binghamton, Enwell, Kirkwood, Montrose, and Norwich. For self-pay non-insured patients, we offer the Smile Plan, which covers all of your cleanings, x-rays, and exams for an affordable yearly price. Call 607-754-2273 or 607-754-CARE to make an appointment today. For more information, visit our website at progressivedentalny.com.
The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you download their app on the Google Play and Apple App Store today so that you can have everything at your fingertips, from their homemade breads and desserts to their salads, quinoa bowls, rice bowls, as well as their brick oven pizzas, and of course those sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our community and ingrained in our taste buds, the Millhouse Market open for you Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. But they are closed today here on September 14th as they are getting ready for fishing season and some other pieces that they have with their hotel. So make sure you make that note today, and we'll see you out there tomorrow at the Millhouse Market right there on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every time. That being stated, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside the Cafe Cubal studios, it's time to get into those ingredients to success. The ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by the fantastic people at Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, being here for decades in our community, just minutes from Liverpool High School. The ingredients to success, with a new topic and ingredients every single week. And the topic for this week is patience. Patience. Paciencia in Spanish. Patience. That is the topic of the week. How do you have patience? Well, it takes time. It takes effort. It takes focus. I had to learn patience over years. So patience does not happen overnight. What are the ingredients to success for patience? Trust God. Trust yourself. Understand that not everything comes on your time. Be willing to ad-lib. Be willing to think outside the box. And another ingredient to success for patience, fill your time with positive, fruitful things. When you're waiting, don't sit there and act like you're waiting. Don't treat life like a waiting room. I'm just going to sit here and wait and read these trashy magazines until my wife comes or my husband comes or that job comes or that house comes or that trip comes or that whatever comes. No. Don't treat life like a waiting room with a trashy magazine. Go out and do something. Yeah, I'm single. I'm 35. I don't have any kids. Not because I wanted to be here, but because the person that I married wasn't right for me. And it wasn't a fruitful marriage. So I made a decision to step forward and to not live in a mediocre life. And guess what? That means that I'm single. I could sit in the waiting room and read the trashy magazines and wait and wait and wait for her to show up. But why? Why, when I can make memories with new friends today and old friends? When I can travel the world? When I can spend time with my dog? Watch the TV shows that I need to catch up on? Go see movies, because I love to do that and the theaters are back open again. Pay tribute to people like my Uncle Bill that I love so much. Get lunch with my mom. Hire someone in my company that'll make us a more fruitful and better place. Work smarter, not harder. And do better on my time management. Clean up my house. Set up things in the studio differently. Set up things in my office differently. Get ready and have a yard sale of stuff that I wanted to get rid of 10 years ago. Don't treat life like a waiting room. Practicing patience not only means having patience, but it means using your time wisely. So instead of waiting, you're living. Remember that. Instead of waiting, you're living. Thank you to Avicolli's for all that you do. And thank you for the ingredients to success, as well as the Liverpool Warriors show that we do every single month on-site, on location, exclusively at Avicolli's. We'll see you over there for lunch, dinner, and drinks at Avicolli's, corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. You can call in for takeout, delivery, and catering at 315-622-5100 and go to myavicollis.com. In the meantime, see you tomorrow, God willing, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Dolphin Time, the first ever Dolphin Dive, airs tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Find out who my guest is by going to Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. I'll be announcing that today. You can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, of course, and I'll listen on MixLR and on wakeupcalldt.com Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, Spotify, iHeart, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And a proud thanks to all of our Central and Upstate New York partners. The family got bigger, and it got better. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Pizza Man, Lemoyne Dolphins, Progressive Dental, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicolli's, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Millhouse Market, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, PB&J's Lunchbox, Honda City of Liverpool, and Mother's Cupboard. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And, of course, fins up to those Dolphins here in our community. Go out and check out the Lemoyne Dolphins all throughout the week. And there's a doubleheader this Wednesday for men's and women's soccer. Find your way to Lemoyne and enjoy the weather and enjoy the games on Ted Grant Field. And, of course, enjoy what's coming up with the Dolphin Dive. For the first time ever, we're making history tomorrow morning. We'll see you there on Wake Up Call. God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon.